Good morning, good morning, good morning. Silas here. Well, it's good morning for me, and I hope it is for you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about whataboutism. Now, whataboutism, I think it's the new fake news. I think it's the kind of situation where people, I've seen this more on the political left, could be biased because of where I'm looking at things, where I'm reading things, or they could just be more active than people on the right. But I've seen this as a thing where somebody will point out, like, okay, it's crazy that Donald Trump is setting up this ban, and then somebody will say, well, what about when President Obama did this? Or how about the fact that he's just using a list that President Obama did? And people will say, oh, stop this whataboutism. If somebody says, oh, Roy Moore is a horrible, horrible person because he was accused for this and this, and then somebody says, oh, how about when Bill Clinton was accused for this and you guys supported him? Someone will say, oh, stop this whataboutism. And I think it's going to backfire like the fake news thing. And I think I just saw something talking about how Facebook or somebody has taken away their whole like fake news identification thing because that has backfired and I think people are using it and tagging it in a different way. And there's this whole thing in the political sphere in the United States of America of the right just saying the left can't meme and just taking whatever they create and say all your memes are ours. And I think this same thing is going to happen to whataboutism because you already see this kind of happening. Like recently, there was a situation where Donald Trump finally admitted and said that yes, the capital of he officially recognized the capital of Israel as being Jerusalem. Now, the people freaked out. People said, "Oh, you shouldn't do this. This is going to cause violence." First of all, people claim that the Middle East, the Muslims in that area are not violent. These are peaceful people. Yet they also say that somebody just saying this is the capital of the place will initiate violence and things like that. Okay, so what do you think in that situation? That's not necessarily a positive thing. What are you saying about the people there that they can't just take this term and change it? Now, on top of that, there was a video that Donald Trump retweeted that had different presidents, different previous administrations saying yes in their campaigns and things like that, saying yes, we're going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital, but they never actually came out and did it officially once they got the presidency. And I think he went back to Jimmy Carter or something, but he went pretty far back, 4 or 5 presidents back, or different people talking about these things. So a lot of lip service has been played to this, but when it actually comes down to it actually being done, Donald Trump was the first one to do it, and now people are freaking out. They went to the UN, and I've talked about this in the previous video about the United Nations. There was a time I thought that maybe the United Nations couldn't be the United Nations in the past since they didn't have the technology and the ability to actually communicate and get the ideas all around the world fast enough and be effective so it actually could be United Nations. But then at the same point, now that that technology is there, does that make the United Nations obsolete? What does the United Nations actually do? And they apparently had a Security Council meeting, an event, and they all voted against. They voted, I think, to condemn Donald J. Trump saying that Israel was Jerusalem, or something like that. And then the United States decided to veto that. And then some people are saying that look, this is proof that the United States is wrong because I guess 126 or how many other countries in the world supposedly are against notifying. Okay, it can't be all the other countries because Israel is happy about this. Some other countries are happy about this, but the Security Council, entire Security Council, voted against it, and then put out a resolution saying they're not going to recognize it. And then, of course, the United States vetoed it, and people are talking about how this is proof that the United States is wrong. But it's not proof. Here, you call this whataboutism if you want, but there are many situations in the past, present, and future where a small number of people will stand up for what they consider positive, even though everybody else is against it. You go back to something like the civil rights movement, even though people were voting against it, and some people stood up and said, no, we're going to, Rosa Parks decided, no, I'll sit in the back, I'm sitting in the front of the bus, I'm not going to stand up. Right now going on in the scandals going on in the entertainment industry and the media industry, just a lot of people coming out with sexual assault things. People knew about these things in the past, but not enough people came up and said something. Yet the small amount of people that started saying things stood up, and some other people decided to finally support them. And the people who were actually victims should keep standing up, should be able to stand up and be supported. If something is wrong, it's wrong whether or not anybody else thinks it's wrong. This is not just a situation where I think you just go in and you say, okay, this is just the way people see it, so we're just going to accept it for the way it is. And this kind of plays into the whole like popular vote thing, how people are talking about how Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. So if that happened, then that means she should have won the presidency. Now they talk about that because I think they are more about a popularity contest than anything. And speaking about the popularity, which is kind of related, they did a poll talking about how Hillary Clinton's approval rating has dropped, but approval rating for what? I think that's just a general thing. I think these polls might not be the best anyway, but the fact that a decent amount of the population still talks about her popular vote, it is interesting to see. I think it makes it pertinent, or it makes it worthwhile to note that. Oh no, because people were asking. Sorry, people were asking, is Hillary? Why are we even having? At least one person. I saw one person asking this. Why is Hillary Clinton even having an approval rating? Because she's still out there. Because there's still people out there talking about my popular vote. So even if they think they had that popular vote thing again, even if the popular vote was what people elected people for in the elections of the electoral college, even though if you're going like number of counties, number of states, etc., etc., it's different. And Donald Trump won in that aspect. You would have a situation where it's like, would Hillary Clinton still win today? And I don't think she would. So back to this my popular vote thing. People are saying just because everybody in the Security Council voted against it, this shows that the United States of America is losing its thing. So how is that not whataboutism? Instead of dealing with the actual issue, saying, is what Donald Trump said about Israel and Jerusalem true? I mean, there's historical precedent for this. You can argue the historical precedent. You can argue the merits of the thing. But if you go into a situation like this, and then you say, oh, what about these other countries? How is that not whataboutism? Oh, America's doing this. Well, what about all these countries doing that? Oh, America has gun laws like this. Oh, what about all these countries that have taken guns away? Oh, America has a healthcare system like this. Oh, what about all these countries that have free healthcare? The left is constantly using whataboutism. And if they're saying whataboutism is something you shouldn't do, then why do they keep using it? And I was checking to see who in the start of this. I went to like hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. I don't know why that was on my head, but it's quite interesting show. I remember Stephen Fry used to say it that way when he was introducing himself. And there's just something that came up here. The Malayan earwig feed exclusively on the body of oozing and dead skin of naked bats. That's really weird. There's actual creatures out there that will exclusively feed on that. They don't eat anything else. And it seems to be some kind of situation where politically people do that. Some people might be Malay earwigs on certain things. They'll get a certain topic and that's the only thing they'll focus on, the only thing they'll treat on, the only thing that will give them strength and give them nourishment is by attacking this one thing and feeding off of this. And you see this happen over and over again, because if this whataboutism was actually applied across the board, they wouldn't be able to make a lot of these whatabout kind of comments and things like that. The popular vote thing is there, the popular vote thing in here in the United Nations situation. So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about the comparison in that situation? Do you think it's a situation where, despite if it's right or wrong, despite the fact that other presidents have said this, because I don't know if this is actually a situation, if there actually would be people who, if you pointed out that Jimmy Carter, Clinton, Obama, all these other people did give lip service to Jerusalem being the capital of Israel, if you told them that, would they say, oh, that's whataboutism, don't talk about that? But then now, when people are voting against it, they'll say, look, how about all these other people? I don't know. So, although I'm against the buzzword of whataboutism, just like I'm against fake news, and if you actually think about it, the people who use whataboutism and used fake news before are similar in the situations, and they have to use what they say whataboutism is a negative to actually have fake news. A site can post an article that's actually truthful, that's actually well reported, but due to whataboutism, they'll say, well, what about all these other fake articles that they posted, so I'm going to discredit or not even give a look or a read to this thing. And that just shows that this is something that people do. We compare things. Something has happened in the past, and then we think, hey, what about the other times when it was, okay, let's say right now it's windy and things like that, it's a little dark for the morning, and then you think, what about all the other times it was like this? It rained, so let me carry an umbrella. Even though most of the time it's like this, maybe it doesn't rain. But whataboutism, I'm just using that as an idea to say that, look, we do compare things, and that's not inherently negative in the situation. Just to finish off this video on whataboutism and the situations that it comes up and the ones that it doesn't come up in, for me, one of them that's been kind of tough for me to deal with is with my international travel and just growing up in different countries, is trying to understand how certain things are. What is a struggle in one place when in somewhere else, that place where that person says or is defined as a struggle could actually be a massive success somewhere else. For example, right now I'm here in Nairobi, Kenya. You have people who actually spend entire days working and get paid a few dollars. Now they're doing a lot of work, a lot of heavy, they'll do like hand labor, like somebody will do gardening, will come in, mow the lawn, cut bushes, weed the place, dig places, do these physical manual labor jobs, and they'll do them for a few dollars, and they'll happily do it for a few dollars. Now that's also coming up now with the United States of America. When illegal immigrants are coming in, they're saying, okay, these people are doing jobs that Americans don't want. As I discussed in a previous video, this whole idea that, okay, when they become American, do they stop wanting these jobs now? But no, in the case they still do them. So that happens a lot. So now I wonder, how do you compare what the quality of life is? When somebody says we need a living wage, how come, what living wage is it? They have to compare it to someone else, and they normally compare it to someone above them. When it comes to the situation of taxes, they say like, okay, I may be getting a small break, but what about those other people? Those other people out there are not paying their fair share. So the whole idea of the socialism, the collectivism, this progressive type of ideas of, I don't know what to say, I think, yeah, it's mostly the socialism. That whole idea of having this whole community where everybody is taxed and everybody funds everything, it's all these social programs. Isn't socialism itself whataboutism? So when you have people who kind of have support for larger government, for more public programs, for social programs and the like, claiming to be the ones that are against whataboutism, saying, oh, you shouldn't actually bring that up. We're talking about this situation specifically, so why are you bringing up that situation, what those other people did? But that comes up all the time. They say, yes, I know you're doing okay, but what about those people? Or what about these people? What about what those people are paying? I know you're in that situation, but what about me? So there's a constant whataboutism all over the world. I think it's just a comparison thing. If you're doing that in your life, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But what do you guys think about that? So that's it for now. Sorry for there's a bit of a jumble on this. I'll probably come up to this topic again. Release more videos soon. I have a few scripted ones that I'm going to release soon. One is a review for the Star Wars film, which I think was rather excellent. Actually, this video might even come out after the review. I'm going to try to record that today. But yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Links below to the merchandise store. And that's it for now. Goodbye.